Now imagine living in a world where fridges simply don't exist. No space to keep food fresh, no freezer for your meats. For most of us, that would be unthinkable. But for one of the most fascinating and mysterious communities in the world, the Amish, that's just daily life. While we constantly seek convenience in our fast-paced routines, the Amish continue to live simply and efficiently, using traditional meat preservation methods that have stood the test of time. Techniques that put any modern freezer to shame without spending a single cent on electricity. In this video, we'll explore how the Amish have mastered the skill of preserving meat without a fridge for extended periods, using elements that are available to everyone, even right inside our own pantry. We'll dive into Amish culture, their origins, and the self-sufficiency practices that hold valuable lessons for the modern world. Want to know how the Amish preserve meat for years without a fridge? Then let's get started. Before diving into the specific techniques the Amish use to preserve meat without electricity, it's important to understand who they are and why their way of life is so unique in today's world. The Amish are much more than just a community that rejects technology. They represent a way of living that is deeply rooted in values shaped over centuries. Originating in Europe in the 17th century, the Amish migrated to the United States and Canada in search of religious freedom. Today, they are spread across rural areas, living simply, without cars, electricity, or modern appliances. But what truly defines the Amish is not just what they reject, but what they choose to preserve. For them, manual labor is not just a necessity. It's an expression of faith and a deep connection to the land. What's most impressive is that everything in Amish life revolves around self-sufficiency. They grow their own food, build their own homes, and create close-knit communities where each person plays an essential role. And that includes meat preservation, which is much more than just a survival technique. It's an age-old tradition. But how exactly do the Amish preserve meat for months without using electricity? The first item on the list is one of the most essential ingredients in any main dish: salt. Centuries ago, before fridges or freezers, the biggest challenge was preserving food, and salt emerged as the most powerful solution. This mineral, extracted from seawater, may seem ordinary today, but it was once more valuable than gold in many cultures. The Romans even paid their soldiers with salt, hence the origin of the word salary. For the Amish, this ancient wisdom is still very much alive. To them, salt is not just a seasoning, it's a key ally in meat preservation. The process is meticulous. The meat is generously coated with salt, which draws out moisture, creating an environment where bacteria and fungi simply cannot survive. But salt does more than just preserve. It chemically interacts with the meat, breaking down muscle fibers, which tenderizes the texture and makes it juicier. Additionally, salt penetrates deeply, enhancing the natural flavors of the meat. The importance of salt spans civilizations. In the past, it was used to preserve meat during long journeys, ensuring that armies and explorers had food to survive. Today, for the Amish, it remains an essential tool, connecting the present to these ancient traditions. The second item on the list is smoke, or more precisely, the process of smoking meat. If salt is the preservative that protects the meat, smoke is the final touch that ensures your future barbecue will be unforgettable. Smoking isn't just an effective preservation method, it's a technique that blends science with ancient skills, leaving the meat with an irresistible aroma while keeping it at peak preservation. The Amish take smoking seriously, treating it almost like an exact science. It all starts with selecting the right wood. Not just any firewood will do. Woods like hickory and applewood are carefully chosen to infuse the meat with unique flavors. The process is slow and controlled, allowing the smoke to gently penetrate, drawing out moisture, and creating a natural barrier against bacteria. Smoking has ancient roots. Nordic peoples used this technique to preserve food during harsh winters. In the United States, during the 19th century, barns and small smokehouses were a common sight on farms. This technique allowed families to store meat for months, even in the toughest conditions. Picture a wooden barn where hams, sausages, and bacon hang from the beams wrapped in aromatic smoke. It feels like a scene from another era, but for the Amish, this is still part of everyday life, preserving both food and tradition. But smoking doesn't just preserve, it transforms flavor. And smoking isn't the only Amish trick to enhance and protect their meat. The Amish rely on two simple yet highly effective ingredients, items 3 and 4 on our list: sugar and vinegar. Sugar, besides aiding in preservation, creates a rich, irresistible layer of flavor. When combined with salt, it forms a curing mixture that balances sweetness and saltiness, commonly used in meats like ham and bacon. This process doesn't just extend the meat's shelf life, it turns it into a unique culinary experience. Vinegar, on the other hand, acts as a natural acidic preservative. By soaking meat in vinegar-based brines, the Amish create an environment where bacteria cannot survive. Additionally, vinegar enhances the flavor by adding a tangy depth that makes preserved meat even more complex and delicious. The practice of curing with sugar dates back centuries, when European sailors carried salted and sugared meats on long voyages. This combination helped protect food from moisture and mold, ensuring it remained edible for months at sea. The Amish, always connected to ancient traditions, adopted and refined this technique over time. The use of vinegar as a preservative is as old as the Egyptian pyramids. The Egyptians used vinegar to preserve meats and vegetables, taking advantage of its ability to prevent microbial growth. During the Roman Empire, soldiers carried vinegar-cured meat to ensure safe and nutritious meals during military campaigns. These techniques, perfected by the Amish, allow meat to last for weeks or even months without refrigeration. It's a perfect example of how simplicity and ingenuity can outperform modern technology. And there's more. Number 5. During the coldest months, while most people seek shelter from the freezing temperatures, the Amish embrace the cold as a powerful preservation tool. Instead of relying on refrigerators, they use the winter air to keep meat fresh and safe for extended periods. After preparing meat with salt or vinegar, they store it in well-ventilated barns or even outdoors, wrapped in burlap sacks or natural fabrics. These materials allow the cold to penetrate while protecting the food from moisture and impurities. Communities around the world, from Nordic peoples to those living in mountainous regions, have long relied on extreme cold as an ally. In the 19th century, for example, American families stored meat in ice houses, insulated structures packed with compressed snow to keep food preserved until spring. Exposure to extreme cold not only halts bacterial growth, but can also enhance meat quality. The ice crystals formed during freezing help preserve the muscle fibers, ensuring that when cooked, the meat remains tender and flavorful. Number 6. In an Amish kitchen, nothing goes to waste. Even fat, which many would discard, becomes an essential tool for preserving meat for months. The first step is rendering animal fat, melting it over low heat to separate impurities, until it turns into pure lard. The process is simple yet ingenious. Once rendered, the melted lard is poured over the prepared meat. As it cools, it solidifies, creating an airtight barrier that blocks oxygen and prevents bacterial growth. It's like sealing the meat inside a natural capsule, keeping it fresh and flavorful. This technique isn't just practical, it's highly effective. When stored in a cool, dry place, meats preserved in lard can last for months without refrigeration. The use of lard as a preservative dates back centuries. During the Middle Ages, European farmers used fat to preserve meat throughout the winter. In the United States, pioneers relied on this method during their long journeys west, when food needed to last for months on the trail. For the Amish, this tradition remains alive. With lard, they prove that every resource can be maximized for preservation. But their meat preservation secrets don't stop here. There's still more to uncover. Number 7. Hidden beneath Amish homes, root cellars are underground storage spaces where the temperature remains stable, usually between 32 and 39 degrees Fahrenheit. This happens because the soil acts as a natural insulator, protecting food from the summer heat and the extreme cold of winter. The use of root cellars isn't exclusive to the Amish. In medieval Europe, castles and villages had underground cellars for storing food and wine. In North America, pioneers adapted this practice to preserve their supplies through long winters. Even in ancient Egypt, underground chambers were used to store grains. These traditions prove that long before the invention of electricity, humans had already found ways to harness nature's intelligence for food preservation. Today, root cellars are making a comeback as a sustainable and efficient solution for modern homes. Built with simple materials, they help reduce dependence on electricity. In these underground storage spaces, the stable environment slows down chemical reactions and microbial growth, ensuring freshness and quality for much longer. The Amish show us that even in a world obsessed with technology, the simplest solutions can often be the most powerful. Maybe you won't be smoking meat or building a root cellar, but small steps can make a big difference. Reducing waste, planning meals more efficiently, and making the most of every ingredient. These changes bring you closer to a simpler, more mindful way of living. And speaking of food strategies that can change the way we store and preserve supplies, there's something even more surprising: foods that never expire. If you want to learn how they can be the foundation of a smart, long-lasting stockpile, just click the video appearing on your screen right now. Oh, and if you enjoyed this video and want to stay up to date on self-sufficiency, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you won't miss any future content. That's all for now. Take care, and I'll see you next time.